Hi, my name is Jordan. I am a special education teacher from the UK. I share my passion for everything communication, sensory regulation, and fun lesson ideas for my classroom of disabled pupils aged 4 to 11. Each week, I am joined by experts in the field, answering your questions and sharing our knowledge and experience working alongside our beautiful young people. Let's get started. Hello everybody and welcome back to the podcast. Today I am joined by Chloe, who is an SEN teacher of secondary school children, and I first started following her maybe a year ago now, and we're just so aligned, and every post that she says about, I'm like, yep, I either do that or I need to start doing that. So I've been kind of nagging her to get onto the podcast. I'm really pleased she's finally joined me. Hello Chloe. Welcome. I have been kind of nagging you, haven't I? Sorry about that.
I've not been in this world for very long. Everything is so new and scary. And when you said about the podcast, I was like, I know, that's really scary. But I'm glad I just went for it.
Yeah, you've got to, right? When did you start your account?
Literally this time last year, January last year. So yeah, and I feel like I'm fangirling a little bit. Me and my TA send each other your TikToks all the time and be
That's so cute.
we should do this, we should try this. And then she convinced me to start my own. So literally, January last year.
Definitely. Yeah, I think I started sensory, I did our sensory kids before that, but I only started sensory class in the December.
Okay.
So I only did like a month before you. I think I followed you almost straight away then, because it feels like I've been following you for a really long time, and we're just so aligned. Everything you were sharing, yeah, it just felt like, finally someone that actually gets it. Like I found it really confirming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I'm in a share, people think the same as I do.
Yeah, I'm not on my own. I'm part of a mainstream school, so it can be incredibly isolating, like doing this stuff and like coming in with your bucket every Monday, and all the other teachers like just thinking I'm absolutely mad. And it was really nice to think, no, I am doing this right. And actually, you've got some of the most incredible attention autism ideas. So, I mean, God, that's one reason to follow you alone, right? So, was it your teaching assistants that brought you into the social media space then?
Yeah, so we obviously followed loads of different accounts for ages, and honestly, social media is so good for ideas and new practices, and you haven't got to read through a million research papers. You can get it in a 10-second video. So we were always sending each other videos and stuff, and she was like, "You should do this, you should set up an account." Like the more attention autism we would do it, the more I was learning, because I was learning on the go. I did the official training, and it just blew from there. And all these ideas. We did the most beautiful, and she nagged me for months.
Come on, you got to do
I was
it.
like, I'm just going to go for it. So we did it. And yeah, I'm so glad I did.
And it's going so well, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah, not
A
the
year in.
scale you're on, amazing. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. And it's just nice. It's a lovely little...
It's a lovely community as well, isn't it? Like all of us are so supportive and understanding, and there's a really nice little group of us now that kind of like hold each other. I just love it. I'm sure other social media groups aren't like that. It just feels really warm and fuzzy, doesn't it?
And I think, where else would I have the opportunity to speak to so many other professionals, so many people that are in the same situation as me or similar, but we live so far apart, we would never be in contact without this.
And also, even if we didn't live close apart, it's so hard to get access to occupational therapists now, speech and language therapists, physios. Like, it's so hard to get that face-to-face interaction just because they're incredibly overworked. You know, they've got such large caseloads that even if they do come into class, you barely get 5 minutes with them because they're with the kids, and then, you know, they're off, you know, and you're doing your thing. So yeah, to have access to them in your pocket at all times, just to like DM them a question, just feels so great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I have learned so much from social media. I will gladly wear the crown of TikTok teacher.
Absolutely. Do you ever do this? I always do it in a staff meeting. I go to start a sentence with, on TikTok, I saw this video, then I kind of hit it, like, I just saw this, I did this research.
Oh, I'm like, oh yeah, I read this really interesting...
I read this article, yeah.
It was, really long research paper. I read through it, actually. But it was a TikTok video.
It was absolutely, and they're all looking at me like, we know it's TikTok.
Yeah, we know.
So funny. But do you want to tell me a little bit about your class then? Because it maybe sounds a little bit like my old class, actually. So yeah, tell me a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. So I have the most gorgeous class. I will be biased. They are the best class in the school. I love them so much. So I've got 9 students currently, with most with PMLD, so profound multiple learning difficulties, I've got such a broad range. So I've got a kind of really sensory groups, all the attention autism, intensive interaction, all of that beautiful stuff. And then I've got another couple that love that and need that as well. But then we're also trying teach approach and things with them as well. We need a little bit more. So yeah, they're gorgeous. We've got 9 children, 6 adults, sometimes 7 if we're looking. And yeah, very much attention autism, intensive interaction, child led as much as we can.
Great. And lots of physio and things as well. Do you have lots of it takes a lot of time. I find I've got in my current class I kind of split the class a little bit. I've got 10 total and I have 4 children in the PMLD kind of group, if you will. And lots of what takes most of their time in the day is care needs and physio and meeting those kind of given targets that aren't even our stuff, everything else. So the attention autism and the intensive interaction and the sensory massage story type stuff, when you get it in there, wherever you get it in, just feels really lovely, doesn't it? Because it's just so fun, and why shouldn't these kids have those activities as well as the or if you can combine them, if you can be in your physio chair and be doing attention autism, even better. Is that kind of how you're kind of doing it? Is you're trying to fit everything in and overlapping things?
Absolutely, yes. So we have quite a few children that need physio too, so it's kind of working around them, isn't it? And I find we have to be so flexible. Like, we have a timetable, we have, we're a secondary school, we have all these, we have to do art, we have to do cooking, we have to do maths, we have to do English. But if I can make a cooking lesson an attention autism, or if I can make an art lesson an intensive interaction, I will do it, because
and that's the great thing about attention autism, right? Like, you literally can.
Yes, absolutely. I've spoken to so many people on social media and at my school that thought it was a standalone thing and it was just about attention and it was just for autistic people. I think the name doesn't really lend itself, does it?
No, it doesn't at all. It needs to be renamed.
I think so. But yeah, because it's for everybody. Everybody loves it. Everybody can benefit from it. We do it at the start of the year when we're just doing stage 1, the box. It's a standalone thing because it's mini, isn't it? It's just thing that you do. But as soon as we get on stage 2, that is our lesson. It's our English lesson, it's our maths lesson, it's any lesson I can weave it into, because I think it's just the best way that we learn.
Yeah.
They pick up so much more from it. And I really talked to a lot of staff at my school about it. You can do anything, you can teach.
Have you tried the Curiosity program with yours?
I haven't, but I really, really want to.
I reckon they'd love it, If they're liking that intensive interaction and bucket and the stage 2, that very visual stuff, it is all that. The only difference I've done for my PMLD learners is, the idea that the on paper idea is that they come into the tough tray and they kind of explore the things as well, whereas my learners aren't able to do that, like physically aren't able to do that. So they're in their corner chairs, or as low as I can get their chair, so they're kind of in it, and then I come to them. So I, rather than sprinkling the balls on the tough tray and they come to the tough tray, I just sprinkle the balls on them, that kind of thing. So I've changed it a little bit and I'm bringing it to them, but they absolutely love it. Like, it's an absolute joy. We're seeing really great anticipation, really great collaboration, really great vocalizations. Like, they find it really exciting. So I'd highly recommend having a look at Curiosity.
Yeah, I really want to. I've seen a lot of stuff about it and researched a little bit into it. And I think a few of my students, it's for them. They need to do it.
Lots of the training I found, I had to kind of tune some stuff out because they were talking lots about 18 months and under, and I had to kind of tune it out a little bit and just think, how could this work for my learners, and what would I need to change? It's not all appropriate, but lots of it is, and lots of it is exactly what they're needing and where they're at. So I just kind of handpick. So if you do the training, you might have to do that as well. Just kind of, you have to tweak everything to make it bespoke for all children. All teachers should and probably do anyway, don't they? Is kind of take bits and magpie bits and change things for their students. I think that's the luxury of special ed, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, I think you have to take everything, don't you, and tweak it to fit yours, because no student is the same, no class is the same. It's not a one size fits all at all, is it? We tweak
No.
everything we do. There are no rules. We can mix it up if we want to.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying yesterday actually that we were talking about communication, and I was thinking, yeah, I've got 10 learners in my class, and I think I counted once that I've got 16 methods of communication in my room. Like, when you start counting, yeah, I'm sure I got to 16. I was like, oh, that's actually quite a lot, actually. So let's talk visuals, let's talk communication. How are your learners communicating with you, and how are you communicating with them?
So we are kind of the, and we're kind of shifting, because I feel like my class now are very different to the class I went into when I first started a few years ago. And I feel like there's a whole shift at the minute in special education about communication, and we are moving away from PECs and exchanging and flicking through symbols and withholding and all of that. And it's actually, no, any communication is amazing and wonderful. And if a child in my class points to swing or points to the door and I know what they mean, they're getting that.
They're getting it.
Take that beautifully. We're really having a big kind of emphasis on any communication. All communication is valid. In our classroom, we're trying to make that possible, make communication accessible for everybody. So my classroom is covered in widget symbols. We're actually in the process of changing them, because at the minute I've got symbols. So on the fridge, I've got a snack symbol, I've got a side symbol on the door, I've got a toilet symbol on the toilet, but they're just stuck on. Students will go over or get an adult, take them over and point to it. So we're in the process of changing everything around so they can take them off.
Yeah.
To kind of take away, so they haven't got to find an adult, take them to the thing and then get it. They can just bring
It's
it.
a barrier otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah,
have you tried sound buttons?
Yes.
Because they could be good next to it as well. So they don't even have to leave there, and they can just be yeah.
What I'd hear all day.
Yeah, well, yeah, there is that. But then, hey, that's their voice. It doesn't mean you have to say yes.
We use sound buttons at practicing part of our story.
Lovely.
And that they're quite small, some of ours, practicing the fine motor skills.
Right, okay. Well, big ones are quite that. Yeah, I've got ones maybe like this. Yeah, they're a little bit easy, but yeah, it still takes some dexterity to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of practicing with those, and then we're also creating some like a thick bit of card. I haven't got one to show you, but thick bit of card, and then we've got an object of reference. So, for example, a pack of mini cheddars, and then the symbol for mini cheddars, and then the sound button that they can press. Say it, so you're kind of hitting them all.
Right.
So we might still be on objects of reference. They might still be using objects of reference to communicate, but we're still seeing the symbol and we're still it. So
because you're still modelling it, and at different times of the day, like our learners get really tired, or if they're poorly or dysregulated or whatever, they might need a different one at different times of the day, mightn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. So we're going with them all. All of our students have their own communication book.
Yeah.
We've got a big basket full in my classroom of all their books. And at the start of the day, they'll go out and we'll keep them with each student. They're all personalised, which is really good. Yeah, and then all staff wear one of our lovely core boards. Here we go. I did bring one home. One of these.
Fab.
Which this seems to be quite popular on my TikTok. A lot of questions about these, and a lot of people saying, "Where did you buy the folder from? Can I see more in detail?" And it's so easy. I don't know why. My wonderful TA who made me start TikTok, she was the first person that showed me this idea, and I was like, "Yes,
yeah, let's just carry it round."
So I ordered a load of these folders, and we just made the core board on widget. My class have been using them for years now, and we've recently rolled it out to a lot of the other classes in school.
Great.
You see everybody walking around with them on now, and we've added extra so you can slot things in. So we put a 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back.
And then do you just whiteboard pen?
The back whiteboard pens are my best friend.
Great.
So it's just, you've always got it. I've always got a whiteboard pen on my lanyard. I've always got it attached to me. I don't need to be stumbling around for symbols.
Because it's always that moment, isn't it? And you haven't got what you need, and then you fumble around for a pen, and then it's too late. The moment's gone, or they become dysregulated, and you can't then communicate in that way, or the moment's gone. That learning opportunity is has evaporated and you've lost your opportunity. So yeah, having everything on you is just great, isn't it?
I have the perfect scenario for when this was needed. It was before we'd started though. I didn't have one. We had a fire drill,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my learners was so upset because he couldn't go on the swings that we've got on the playground. Because, you know, when we're on the playground, he's allowed on the swings, but now there's a fire.
Right, that's so confusing.
So he was down on the floor, quite upset. I was lying on the floor next to him, and I had a pen, and I was about 3 seconds away from drawing a now and next on my
On your
hand.
hand.
I could not find anything else. And then my TA come running over with a scrappy little bit of paper that she'd just found in her pocket and was like, "Do you need this? Yes, I do." He drew a now and next that said, waiting or line up and then swing. And it was like magic.
Yeah.
But if I'd had that on me, it would have
Yeah.
been so much
It is
easier.
like magic, isn't it? Because you can be saying all of those things. You're like, but I've said all that. It doesn't go in, does it? When they're sometimes it doesn't go in at all, just regardless, but especially if they're dysregulated, they just can't process that,
Yeah.
that receptive language. They can't receive it. Whereas a visual, especially for those learners that have a longer processing time or autistic, or for whatever reason, they're just more visual learners, they seem to process that a little bit easier, don't they? Also, I've also found, I don't know if you've found this, I'll be interested to know if you found it. When I give an instruction that they don't want to do, for example, line up first, then swing, maybe, then they're angry at me. But if my whiteboard says it or my now and next board says it, they kind of don't make, I don't know, they're annoyed at that. They're not annoyed at me. I don't know, have you seen that? Have you
No,
noticed that same
absolutely.
thing?
Yeah. If I say, come on, line up, it'll be what? No, thank you. Whereas if you just show the symbol, I think it takes that confrontation
It
away.
does.
The demand, the tone, because as nice
Yeah.
as you to say time to line up, it's still a demand.
Yeah, of course. You become the deliverer of the bad
Yeah,
news, don't you?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've worked with lots of different people, lots of different ages, lots of different, cognitive ability. And it seems to always be the same, that even if I write a list, whatever they can understand, they read it, then it's the list that's given the instruction. It's them, not me. It takes me out of the situation, so I can just support them with it rather than being, the deliverer of whatever demand
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
we need to do.
absolutely. I think it's just more concrete as well, isn't it? Like
True.
your students have got longer processing time. By the you say an instruction and then it comes out your mouth and it's gone. It's disappeared into the air. Whereas if it's there in front of them, they're not
Right.
going to forget. By the time they've processed it, it's still there. They know what's
Yeah.
happening, they know what they need to do next.
Yeah, and it reduces anxiety because of that concreteness as well, I suppose, doesn't it? It's definitely happening because it's tangible. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can hold it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you say, when you say it, it just evaporates into thin air. Well, how am I to know that, it's definitely going to happen because it doesn't exist. I can't see it or feel it.
Yeah.
And of course, that's going to cause anxiety. And we all know that anxious children are dysregulated children, aren't they? I mean, God, we live our whole day trying to support that anxiety and reduce that, don't we? In all things.
Definitely.
You
I mean,
said, no, go on.
I was going to say, I always use the analogy of IKEA flat pack furniture. If I got given a whole load of parts and pieces of wood and a massive sheet of paper with just words on, I'd be like, no, I am not even attempting that. Don't want to know. But because it's got the little picture, I don't read the words. I just look at the pictures and
Yeah.
build it easily.
It's true. We're academic. We can read, and yet, you're absolutely right. We look at the pictures, don't we? Because it's easier to process. It's easier to understand.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to us. It's more concrete. And even if we can read the words, we can use the pictures to confirm that what we've read is actually what it means. And maybe they do the same as
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
I harp on all the time about consistency. We have got to be, if there's a particular behaviour that we're concerned about with a child or something, we have got to be doing exactly the same thing, saying exactly the same thing in exactly the same way. It's got to be consistent. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And
Yeah.
I always go on about how we need to be using our visuals all the time. We need to be using our now and all the time, even if they don't need it when we're using. If I could say to one of my students, "Go and put your coat on outside," and I know they're going to do it when I've said it, but then they're not using the now and next. They're not used to visuals. So then when they do need it, if it's something that they don't want to do as much, or they're in a state of dysregulation, it's not going to work then.
Exactly
Do it all
that.
the time, so it works when you need it.
Exactly that. And it's exactly that. And it is easy to forget, isn't it, when they just do it. Oh, they just did it. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's lovely, but what about tomorrow when we actually really need them to leave assembly because they're being, whatever, because they really need to go, and or they need to get out the swimming pool and they don't, what happens then? It's always
Yeah.
the swimming pool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know they can leave the group area. They don't want to be there, but let's use it anyway because that's a really great practice.
Yeah, that's
Because
it.
then they're on board.
Now and next at people like use this.
Yeah, and also if those now and next only come out when they don't want to do something, they will then put the now and next with that negative feeling, won't they? They will see it as this demand. This thing tells me that I don't want to do and that I have to do it. And that's when they don't work. That's when it then feels more like PECs, right? That's then not child-led, that's not collaborative, that's not supportive at all. Because it only comes out as control and compliance, really, is what it is. And all these amazing tools can be used in the wrong way if a now and next is only brought out for that sit down, be quiet, get on with your work, otherwise you can't have this, God, I've seen it. That's the same lanyard could be used in that sense, but it can also then be used as, come on, dude, we've got this, like your fire drill thing, perfect example. You can have the swing. You can have the swing. We've got to do this, and then you can have this. How exciting it! It's the same visual, but my God, it's a different reaction. It's a different whole approach, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my team must be so bored of me, but I harp on about it all the time. We've got to be consistent. We've got to be using them.
Yeah, and with that many adults as well, with seven adults,
Yeah,
you've got to be, haven't you?
absolutely. And I find it hard sometimes because I'm the youngest in our team.
Right.
I'm the one going, you got to do this. Let's change this, and everyone's just like, yeah, come on then. But yeah,
It's a weird dynamic, isn't
a hard
it?
balance. Yeah,
Yeah. I started at 22 in a special school, and I had 6 teaching assistants, all middle-aged women that have brought up their own children. They'd worked there for years, and you come in with these ideas. I mean, they completely dragged me through my first 2 years. Like, I didn't have a clue for a start, but then you have this idea, and they just trust you, don't they? It is amazing, but it is a weird dynamic in your 20s to be managing all these middle-aged women that have brought up children. It is quite odd. It's a really weird part of the role, actually, is that manager kind of role, straight into manager role, as well as everything else that it entails.
Yeah, it really is. And I find that part a little bit harder as well because I actually only work part-time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got my own children. So I have Thursdays and Fridays off. And I feel like a huge pressure to make sure that Thursdays and Fridays run as smoothly as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. And it's so much harder when you're not there.
So is another teacher not there for the Thursday and Friday?
They kind of have their external forest school
Okay.
where they move around school for different lessons. And I have another teacher who kind of covers the form tutor role on those as well. But that's the dynamic, isn't it? It's two different people, two different approaches. And it's just working together to make sure it's consistent.
Yeah, it's huge. So I'm the Thursday, Friday teacher, which is why I asked. And it is really important, isn't it, to be on the same page. Something came up earlier, actually. We do the same hello song, the same warm up, all of those kind of things. Well, I thought we did, but I think it's Chinese whispers over the last few months. And one of the teachers, I was doing the hello song, one of the teaching assistants says, you do a different tune than him, than my colleague. And I thought, do I? I thought I was doing the same. And I think it's just Chinese whispered changed over the last few months. And I thought, I better get him to record it so that I can, tune back into it. Because things just get slowly evolve, don't they? And if you're not seeing each other teach, which when would you? You're relying on your team to kind of keep you accountable, aren't you? To keep both parties accountable. It's quite important, actually.
It really is. Yeah, I find this a lot. And I am so impulsive and reflective that I will just like in the moment be like, oh well that didn't work, let's try it this way, or let's do this, or somebody's just let's mix it up, and I'm constantly like change.
Which is the job, isn't it?
Yeah. So then sometimes it's hard to keep that consistency when I've changed it, and then I expect to know what I've changed.
Well, in the moment, it doesn't feel like a big change, does it? Because of course that didn't work, so let's just shift this. It could be lots of little things, couldn't it? But when you're writing your email on the Wednesday saying everything that's happened and getting ready for Thursday, you think, oh God, that was actually quite a lot that we just did there. Every single child has got something to work on. That's quite a lot when you see it all in one big, massive email list. But in the moment, it just feels like little things that you've just made a new symbol, or you've just shifted how you're going to say something. It just seems like little changes, but yeah, it definitely does look like a massive list on the day that you've got to send on a Friday ready for Monday, thinking, oh well, that's quite a lot that happened actually. I was wondering about your attention autism as well. I get lots of questions about attention autism, and as you've got such great sessions, and it was what first drew me to your account actually, what are your go-to, oh my God, I've not got an idea, what are we going to do, grabbable things?
Okay, I love this because there are so many that are so adaptable to whatever you're doing. Probably my favourite pull out of your back pocket is flour shape, because
Okay,
you can pretty much always find a bag of flour, some icing sugar, some corn flour. The paint I've used, wonderful, looks beautiful, but will tie-dye your shoes.
great, good to know.
And my floor is now pink, but it's lovely. It's a lovely shade of pink. But so yeah, just sieve a load of flour or powder paint into a tough tray, and just that is beautiful to watch, and it just flows, and you can shake high, shake low, and it's lovely. But then within that, once you've shook it all in and it's covered, you can draw anything. Like you could draw shapes, you could draw facial expressions, talk about happy, bad, and you could do different types of weather. We've been doing animals, so we've been drawing the animal and then pressing the sound button. Yeah, you could do. I did the life cycle of the caterpillar once.
Yeah.
Just told the story of the hungry caterpillar while I was drawing the flower. Everybody was just engrossed.
Wow, it's so visual, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so much better than just sitting there going, "There once was a very hungry caterpillar."
Yes.
It's a really nice way to do it. So yeah, I love flower shape.
That's so affordable as well, isn't it?
So easy. I've always got shaving foam, flour, bicarb in my cupboard, ready to go.
Yeah, they're the must-haves, aren't they? That and laminating pouches.
And
and Velcro. I swear we could be paid in Velcro and laminating pouches and shaving foam, and we would be happy.
100%, yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else? So they're your stage twos kind of thing, aren't they? What about bucket items? What do you put in your bucket?
I love my bucket toys. I'm doing a bit of a refresh. I've just done a
Okay.
massive order for loads of new ones, so I'm so excited for them. The dancing llama was one of my favourite ones recently.
Okay, a bit like the cactus.
Yeah, so my daughter got it for Christmas and I borrowed it for school. But it's basically just this llama, you press it and it wiggles and this bum shapes. Little dance.
Amazing.
Something like that, like children's toys that just
So
move.
dancing robots, yeah.
They're always my crowd pleasers because we've got a chicken that lays eggs, which is
I've seen that.
amazing.
I've seen that. It makes a really stupid noise when it does it as well, doesn't it?
It's so funny.
I used to have that in my old room. I wonder where that's gone.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But then like it also doesn't have to be big expensive toys. Like you can blow up a balloon and let it go.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Exciting as the dancing llama. Party poppers, party blowers, like the long ones. So yeah, it doesn't have to be anything. Do you know what I've recently discovered actually? I've just remembered. What's it called? Silly string.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
that's so fun. They still do that. Where do you get it from?
I don't know. It appeared in my box.
eBay, I reckon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
I quite like the party aisle in Tesco. You know, like the little things you get in your
Love it.
party poppers,
Balloons,
so
paper plates.
Like, what are they, like the clacker things with the
Yeah.
board side?
And they're also cheap and little, aren't they? They're perfect for the bucket.
I just chuck them in.
Weekly shop is dangerous, isn't it? There's always a few items in there that just kind of sneak in. They'll love that. But how about storing everything? You know, where do you keep it all? How do you organise it so that you can find everything easily? Because it's something that I've really been experimenting this year. I don't feel like I've cracked it.
Yeah. So we're on a journey with it at the minute. We're in the process of, so I'm quite lucky in my classroom. I've got a lot of space and I've got two very long cupboards.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my cupboards is like all of my boxes with like curriculum resources and everything else.
Yeah.
And we're in the process of converting the other cupboard into the Attention Autism
Mm-hmm.
cupboard, because we've recently rolled out Attention Autism more throughout the school. So the vision is that people can come into my room,
Yeah.
my cupboard, and I would like them to see stage 1, stage 2,
Right.
stage 3, stage 4, and all of the resources they need are there. So we'll kind of have loads of baskets with all the exciting toys, all the
Mm-hmm.
stage 1 in, and then we'll have rows with, you know, your bicarb, your
Yeah.
that's going to be like a rolling order, so it's always stocked up. And then obviously all the things that you need for stage
Yeah,
3.
great. All ready to go in a pack. Sign
Yeah,
it out you go, put it back in. It will make for such better sessions, won't it? Because then the time and energy can be spent not in putting it all together, because it does take a lot of time, but in
yeah,
the delivery,
yeah,
can't it? It can be so much well thought out. And so often I think I do a stage 3 and I've done it and think, oh, do you know what? It'd have been so much better if I had symbols, or it would have been so much better if I had this. And if it's all in the pack, it's all ready to go, isn't it? And you'll always have those things.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I just want to make it as accessible as I can
Mm,
for everybody, because it can be like a lot of work to get set up, can't it? You know, you've got
yeah.
the activities, then you've got to gather all the resources that you need and tidy it all away after, which is not
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. It can
So
be quite daunting to even think of the ideas as well. Whereas if you've got a cupboard full of them, you can think, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. I haven't done that in ages. Let's just do that. Whereas otherwise, you kind of go to the same things, don't you? And it can become a bit mundane, but only not meaning to be, just for lack of, creative thinking and energy, really.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I find myself quite often, even me in the session, like, oh, we saw this toy like a couple of days ago. That's boring. Let's find another one. It's keeping it fresh, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah, and it's so
I'm
easy.
my toy, then my students are going to be as well.
Exactly, and because I'm only teaching, and I don't know if you find this as well, on a Thursday and Friday, I don't definitely know what they've done on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I know what they've got in the bucket on a Thursday, so I know what they did on Wednesday, so I know that it can be different from that. But I don't know what they did on a Monday and Tuesday. Maybe I should do, but you can't write everything, can you?
It's
So
impossible.
even if I choose the same, I suppose I do it in a bit of a different way just because I'm a different person. But yeah, maybe it would be good to have some kind of like system of in and out, like an in and out tray. We know
Yeah,
what's already been, and we can kind of rotate that way. A bit like when you refresh your wardrobe and you put your hanger the other way when you know that you haven't used it, or when you have used it. Maybe we need a system like that.
I like that idea. That's really
Yeah, I had a cupboard refresh this year. We haven't got a whole Attention Autism cupboard, although it is taking over. I've got 2 shelves out of 4 now of Attention Autism rather than just the one. But we kind of did put all the grapnels trays in,
Mm.
and we've got 1 per lesson, and yeah, 2 of the whole trays is Attention Autism, and that has definitely helped keep me accountable. It's definitely helped keep me planned and ready and organised for the session, which has definitely helped deliver it far higher quality than when you're just chasing your tail, just grabbing something 5 minutes before. It's never as good. It's always fine. The kids always love it. It doesn't matter too much, but it's so much better and more effective if it's
Yes,
planned, isn't it?
absolutely. I am the least organised teacher you've ever met. I am the run around, grab what I can. Like, I'm so unorganised and I try so hard, but it's just not me. I'm just not
Do
organised.
you find sometimes they go surprisingly well? When you just make up a song on the fly, like you're literally already running the session and you think, I haven't got a song for this, and you just kind of run it on the fly. Sometimes they go really well.
Pretty much every single stage 3 song I ever do
Hmm.
was plucked out of my head not 0.5 seconds
Yeah,
before I
same.
started.
Same.
It's the familiar tune, and I'm just like, just make it.
It's always Wheels on the Bus, though. I need to get a different tune. It's always Wheels on the Bus.
Mine is always This Is the Way.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. For Attention Autism especially, I feel like that's a good go-to.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of put any words onto This Is the Way. So then, what are your other lessons looking like then? So you said you do sensory stories. You said you do Attention Autism and intensive interaction. what do you call your other lessons, or you know, do you call them what they are? Do you call them, you know, sensory massage, or do you call them, or do you have English, math, science? You know, what does your curriculum look like, feel like?
Yeah, so we've kind of got a bit of a hybrid. You know, we're a secondary school. Every class
Hmm.
school gets a timetable, and so my timetable for my class looks like English, math, rebound, cooking, art, and it's just listed the subject.
Okay.
And we also have slots 4, 5 hours a week, so quite a lot for communication. But that's kind of my baseline, and then I've got
Yeah.
quite a lot of freedom.
Of what that even looks
Yeah.
like.
So my
Okay.
communication lesson one week will be an intensive interaction lesson. It will
Hmm.
be child-led play. It
Hmm.
will be attention autism. It's really flexible within that.
Yeah.
Yes, then our English lessons will generally be either a story or a story told through an attention autism, which is
Yes. Okay.
so yeah, we're always linked on a story. We've got a key text for every half term.
Hmm.
Yeah. Maths is always attention autism because I think it just
Okay.
knows itself really well.
Yeah. I don't think many people do that. I think many people think communication English, but it really, really does. You're right. Bigger, smaller, on, off, inside. It works so well for
It
maths.
works so well. So English and maths, we will do an attention autism or the sensory story as like a whole class. I'm thinking back to like mainstream, like that's your input, that's your class input.
Yeah.
Then we split off and we do workstations or tables, and that's where they'll do the more kind of, some of them are more kind of teacher style trays,
Hmm.
and some of them will be that more focused, like one-to-one work, working on
Yeah.
specific their targets. So it's kind of halves. You've got the input and then the
Yeah.
visual work. But then we do have like we'll have art lessons. Art lessons. It depends on what the kind of topic is for the half term. But generally, we're exploring textures. We're exploring colours.
Okay.
I really try and get my art lessons very kind of free flowing, child led. So I'll
Yeah.
kind of
So they're exploring, they're initiating the creativity rather than it being you're going to copy this or you're
yeah,
going, yeah.
process over product. Absolutely.
Yes.
I always say to my staff at the start of specifically art lessons and cooking lessons, I do not know what we end up with.
They're the
I do not
ones, aren't
care if there's
they?
fruit on the ceiling. I don't care if they've made a beautiful skewer with all the fruit lined up. I don't care if they've made beautiful
If they've
cards.
squidged it in their hands, that's great.
Yeah, I don't care about the output and what
Yeah.
we produce at the end. It's the process, isn't it?
Yeah.
So art lessons I'll fill up a tough tray with farmyard theme or whatever it is with all these lovely textures, and I'll play with it.
Hmm.
Staff will play with it. And if they want to come over and join in with me,
Great.
amazing. And then they're exploring that. Some of them might take a little bit more coaxing. Some of our students that really don't like the pressure of everybody
Yeah.
around the table, everybody around the tough tray will put it into a little tray for them and take it to them.
Hmm.
But it's very much on their terms. Because I think
I
there's
like that.
doing their learning.
Yeah, especially with something, well, any lesson, of course, but anything like art, you're not going to get your best work if you're feeling pressure to do it. I mean, I certainly wouldn't. If I went into a classroom and someone said, right, you're going to do this art and this way, I'd just be like, I'd feel so
Yeah,
much pressure because I can't do that. Whereas if someone said, oh, here's all the stuff, choose what you want, just have a little explore, this is what I'm doing, you can do it with me if you want, or you
yeah,
can do it over there, like, that would be so much more enjoyable. It's errorless, isn't it? Errorless learning.
absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
I
100%.
once invited my mother-in-law. She was staying up with us for a couple of weeks, and she used to be an occupational therapist, so she's really intrigued by what I do. And I invited her into my classroom. She just really wanted to see my class, and we were doing cooking. And she came out saying, "That wasn't cooking. That was sensory play." And I was like, "Yeah, exactly." I think she was going in expecting to do some proper baking and stuff, and it was
Yeah,
very much like squishing and rolling and smooshing and tasting.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
that's what it's all
yeah,
about.
it is. But it did make me laugh. That wasn't cooking, that was
That
sensory
wasn't cooking.
play.
Most of my cooking lessons are sensory play, and I love how we do our cooking at the minute because we kind of do the whole process. So on a Tuesday in our independence lesson, we write a shopping list. So we choose the symbols. If it's something like, say, for example, fruit kebabs,
Hmm.
The students will choose the fruit that they want and they'll get the symbol and put it on their shopping list. Or if it's maybe further on in the year, we'll look at a recipe and we'll pull out the symbols for the ingredients we need and put them on our shopping list. So that on the Wednesday morning, we go on the bus, we go into the shop, we buy the things off the list and check them off. And then on a Wednesday afternoon, we come back and then we cook what it is that we've
Makes it
done.
so
And
much more
the
meaningful,
whole
doesn't it? And then wash
yeah,
up, then wash up at the end. It makes it so much
yeah,
more meaningful. And
it's real life, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. And we, like, these are teenagers. We want them to be as independent as possible. And even if they have a carer all their lives or live in, independent living and have that support all their lives, what if they can like write a simple recipe? What if they can go into the shop and beat through the items and hand over their card? How exciting!
Yeah,
For
it's that
just
little
going
bit
on
of
the bus and
independence.
leaving the classroom is so huge for our learners.
Mm,
It's such great practice. It's almost the biggest lesson that you'll teach that year, isn't it? Is going on the bus, going into a shop, managing public, managing yourself in public, coping with all those sounds and sensory experiences, and coming back with something, cooking it, washing up.
yeah,
It's so
totally.
important, isn't it?
So important. It's the whole kind of real life experience,
Yeah,
isn't it? And yeah, if they can do something for themselves, then absolutely, why shouldn't they? It's
yeah.
so
I
much
feel
better.
like because we're a primary school, and I feel like everything, all our whole base of everything is why are we doing this? What will it enable them to do? And if it doesn't, if it like, then it seems kind of pointless,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
it? So
yeah,
I don't know, like, why do we take them swimming? Well, it's not to teach them how to swim, even though that's a great skill. It's really not. It's about walking to the place, being safe on the road, getting dressed, getting changed, being in the environment, being with the public, waiting for your turn. It's all of those things around that. And then
yeah,
swimming's just a bonus. We get to splash in the water and it's really fun. But yeah, it's probably one of our most important and useful lessons, actually, because it's teaching them about life outside of the safety parameters of home and school, because we are very safe, aren't we? I mean, God, the whole thing is catered to them and the world isn't. There's
yeah,
not widget symbols stuck on everything in the real
yeah,
world. There's not loving members of staff and adults that will attend to your every need and will try really hard to understand what you say and will accept you and love you no matter what. That doesn't exist in the real world. I really hope it does one day, but it doesn't. And how wonderful that they can be nurtured in these safe environments. I think that's equally as important, but not to be too sheltered and to experience the real world and to get used to how to navigate that as well when you haven't got the widget symbols, when you haven't got the safety of an area that you always go to or a den that you always go to when you're
yeah.
dysregulated. What happens then? It's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, 1,000%. I've got some parents that say to me, I don't mind if they never learn to read. I want them to know how to ask for help or how to get on a bus or get themselves home if they need to. Like, it's those important life skills and safety skills that are so much
Yeah,
more important than learning phonics, or like
yeah.
obviously that's important too, but not, I don't think, as important.
No, I agree. You've just reminded me of an argument I had with my old deputy head, actually. She was trying to take away a PSED lesson, so a personal, social, and health lesson from me and replace it with, a maths or an English. And I could have done it. I would have just turned it into whatever I wanted to do.
Mm,
But I felt it really important. Like, why are you taking away? That's probably one of the most important lessons we teach.
yeah,
I get that in mainstream maths and English is really important, but in special ed, PSED is the most important. It's about independence and emotions and self-care and all of those things is so important. And so there's no point them knowing how to give money and get change back if they can't actually go outside and get on a bus and buy a ticket.
do it. Yeah,
If they can't actually don't have the confidence and the social skills and the awareness and the regulation to be able to do that, what's the point of them being able to count change? Honestly, if there is no point, is there? And that was my learners on that year. I was working with 14 to 16-year-olds, and they were incredible at maths, like incredible. We were doing age appropriate year 9 maths papers. They were just whizzing it. They could just do it, but they couldn't leave the classroom because they were so anxious.
yeah,
There was absolutely no way they'd be able to speak to a stranger and be able to communicate that they wanted to go somewhere. There's no way they could be able to get off at the right stop. you know
yeah.
so what's the point?
Yeah, that's it. You've got to get that first, haven't you, before we
Yeah.
worry. Yeah, you got to do it progressively, haven't you, in the right order?
Yeah, and that comes with time, doesn't it? Because there's new teachers. I mean, I don't know what your teacher training was like, actually. You did mainstream, didn't you? I did as well. Did you do mainstream primary?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I did the 3-year primary education degree, which I think is wild that there's hardly any
Nothing.
like, there's probably like a token session and
Dyslexia, like not even
yeah.
anything. Like, yeah.
It's wild. But I was so lucky that I didn't ask to, and because I didn't know, but I was so lucky that I got put into a SEND placement for my second year
Wow.
placement, and that's what made me want to be a SEND teacher. That was just, it was beautiful, and I was like, this is me, this is
It
my
just
path.
felt right. So how long were you in mainstream before you moved over?
So 5 years.
Okay.
However, kind of penultimate year was lockdown slash maternity leave.
Okay.
I've been in school probably 4.
Yeah.
But
So you've
yeah,
nearly been in SEN as long as you've been in mainstream, haven't
yeah,
you? Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, I
Did
started.
you always know that you were going to move over? You
I did.
did. You felt
Yeah.
it.
It was that like, oh gosh, I've just graduated. I need to get a job, and it was just like, take the
Yeah.
offer that's coming to me. I need
Yeah.
a job.
Which
Like,
is good because you do
yeah.
just need that experience, don't you? And to get
Yeah,
that job. Yeah.
absolutely. And I loved it. And I started in year 2. I
Hmm.
taught in year 5 for a little bit, and then I went back to year 2. And I always said, I do not want to teach Key Stage 2. I am an early years, Key Stage 1,
Right.
the big ones, they scare me. And then I spoke to my deputy head now. She was like, how would you feel about special needs secondary? And I was like, the word secondary scares me, but like, let's go for it. And I had
But
a
are
look
they
round.
working at that kind of year 1 or
Yeah,
early years
that's
level
yeah,
anyway?
level. Yeah, so it's kind of the best of both worlds, really. Like, we've got older students in our school. We have different strands, so we've got such a variety of needs, such a difference. We've got sixth formers sitting GCSEs, and
Right.
then we've got complex PMLD,
It sounds
sensory.
very similar to my old school,
Yeah,
actually.
so it's a wild difference, and I am like, do not put me up in sixth form. Do not give me the big kids. I do not want to be up there.
I do nursery rhymes and fairy
Yeah,
tales. Yeah.
yeah, that's
I feel
it.
the same. I don't care how big they are. I don't care what age they are. But I'm a singer and I do dancing and I do puppets and I do
Yeah.
balloons and I
Yeah.
do mark making. So when I was put in this 14-year-old, year 9 maths thing, I thought, oh my God, I've got, I only just got a C at GCSE. How am I going to do this? I mean, you just Google it, don't you? But I'm very much in my comfort zone now with the songs and the
Oh,
attention
yeah.
autism and yeah.
Yeah. I had to cover a GCSE biology class for
Oh
a
my
period of
goodness.
about, it was about 5 or 6 months I had to cover this class, and I was like, oh my God, like, I haven't done biology since my GCSEs.
Right.
And so I had to cover it, but my complex need sensory head took over, and I took them Play-Doh, and we made models of the
I bet
cells.
they
And
loved it,
those
right?
little ones loved it. They learned so much, and I do think that a lot can be learned from that approach. It's not
Yeah,
just for your complex needs learners,
I
it's not just
agree.
for younger learners. Like, if I went to a staff meeting and they got the Play-Doh out, yes please,
And
that's
actually,
way
you
more fun than
sometimes I look
sitting.
around. I don't know if you do. Sometimes I look around in staff training and think we all need fidgets here because this is boring and it's long, and we've been sitting here far too long
Yeah,
still and trying to concentrate. Yeah, we need to get up and move around and do a bit of a break. Yeah, so you're so right. We're all sensory beings, aren't we?
100%.
Some need it obviously and rely on other people to help them regulate more than most, but we're all sensory beings and we all have that sensory baseline. I was speaking to a doctor actually on the podcast quite early on. I think the podcast came out this Sunday actually, but it was a couple of months
Yes,
ago. I
I
spoke
listened
to
to it
her.
yesterday.
She's beautiful, isn't she? And so wise, so wise. And she was talking about the difference between PMLD and PMBL. So it's profound and multiple learning difficulties, which is how you describe the children in your class, or profound and multiple barriers to learning. And she explained the difference as cognitively, they are academic learners. They can understand just as we can. They're not at that sensory level. They learn at that academic level. But their barrier to learning is their physical barrier. Maybe their body doesn't do what they want it to do, and that's their barrier. And often these people can look the same on the outside. So it can be assumed that they're not as competent.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, they need to learn in this more academic way and not a sensory way. But what she was saying was offer both. Because actually, if we're not sure if they are an academic learner or a sensory learner, offer them both. There's no harm in offering them the sensory multitude of things, you know, a multi-sensory way of exploring. And there's also no harm in using long scientific language and explaining this alongside the sensory things, or using visuals to explain along it. And I just thought that was really lovely. She explained it with a sensory story about the birth of a star, and she was using lots of scientific language, and it was all very accurate. But we were popping confetti and exploring, you know, different things and spelling different things. And I thought, yeah, because that's assuming competence, isn't it? It's meeting all your learners where they're at. And it doesn't matter whether, I don't mind if they're a sensory learner. It makes no difference to me. I would love them and teach them no matter what, you know. But I want to make sure that I'm reaching where they're at. I don't want to be patronising, but I also don't want to be way above their heads and not meeting them and then being bored and not feeling like they're being heard. It's a mix, isn't it? And I feel like we're battling that as special ed teachers constantly. Is, are we doing enough? Are we doing too much? Are they understanding, or are we patronising? You know, it's a constant flow of that. Do you feel that as well?
100%. Like, we can never fully know what they do and don't understand, kind of like where they are in some cases. So it's like you said, you've got to assume competence, assume that they can, assume that they do know, and if they do, great, and if not, you've scaffolded and got there anyway. So they've had all of the
almost offer them everything, offer them all the scaffolding, and then if they can reach, then great, and if they can't, it's also great because they've got a lovely sensory experience out of it.
Yeah, and it's the same with communication, isn't it? We offer all of the types because they've got to tell us, they've got to choose what's the best way for them. So we're gonna offer them all, and you would never just say, oh yes, they use objects of reference, so we're only going to offer them objects of reference.
Yeah, true. I think that, I don't know if you get that in your DMs as well. Like, oh, we're thinking of moving on to, I don't know, talking iPads, or we're thinking of moving on to symbols, and we have been using photos or whatever. I think, oh no, just include it, just overlap it, just you use it, is how I often say. Actually, leave them doing what they're doing and what they already know. Don't take their voice away from them. But why don't you just try this as well as that, you know? But yeah, it looks like it's almost spoken like a linear ladder, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, when I first started, I was under the impression, from what I'd learned just kind of on the job, of you do objects of reference and then it's onto symbols and then it's onto this and AAC, but actually just use it all, offer it them all, and they'll tell you what they
and they're so spiky and all over the place and that actually, who knows? I had a child that didn't seem like he was understanding objects of reference at all, and we were trying sound buttons, we were trying all sorts, and now he's writing on a whiteboard and typing out what he wants. You know, all of a sudden it's just kind of, maybe he's kind of processed it, or worked out that we've worked out that he can do it. I don't know what's happened. It just kind of, it seemed to happen overnight. But it's only because those options were there to him and we hadn't given up that was ever a thing. They were just there. I mean, it's great that we've got 10 learners that all do different things, so they're all there, which helps. That was on offer to him. But that wasn't the expectation. It was just modelled. It was just, we were just using it anyway. And Attention Autism helped for that, actually, because we were writing on the whiteboard, right? He was watching us every day writing on the whiteboard, and he learned that it meant something, and it meant something fun, because often it came with something fun after it.
Yeah. I think that's so important for us as all teachers, but like, we're the facilitators. We can offer the resources, we can offer the experiences, we can offer the communication, but it's up to them to take it and use it. And
I wonder if mainstream teachers, I mean, maybe you could answer this, because I've never been a mainstream teacher. I did mainstream training, but I've always been special ed, so I can never answer this question. But I wonder, I always just feel like a facilitator and not a teacher. I very, very rarely do I finish a session and think, I taught them something that day. Usually I'm just facilitating and finding out what they already know. It feels like I'm just observing, can they do this? Do they know this? Rather than, today, kids, we're going to learn this, and by the end of the session, they know it. I don't know. Is that a mainstream thing, or?
Yeah, so obviously every school's different. I only worked in one mainstream school,
Yeah.
but it's much, what do we want them to know by the end of the session? Like, that was the goal. What are they going to learn at the end of it? What are they going to know? How can we assess it? It's very much that kind of rigid, yeah. Whereas, like you say, I'm observing the children. I'm saying they've done this independently. Oh, I didn't know they could do that. Oh,
Yeah.
counted up all those blocks. It's very more, it's more child led, isn't it? And you're
Yeah, I think maybe that's what it is. Yeah, my aim definitely isn't I'm going to use these resources to teach them this. It's more I'm going to use these resources because they're going to be motivated by it and they might show me that they can do it. It's more that.
So you've got an idea of, this is what I'd like.
They might be able to, yeah.
What I'd like to see, but it's up to them.
Yeah, I know they can't do it with cubes, but can they do it with number blocks? Like, maybe they can.
You give them the resources to show that, don't you?
Yeah, it is very different. And it must be really difficult. I mean, it was a long time ago now. I can't really remember. It must be really difficult for teachers that are coming across or starting afresh because it's such a different way of I mean, we're called teachers, but it really is just facilitating and observing and learning your children, isn't it? Yeah, I'm kind of using this podcast as CPD actually, like chatting to you all, and all the time when we're chatting to everybody, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I need to do more of this, or I need to add on to this because we're always trying to improve our practice, aren't we? I'm just wondering, right, is there anything that you're focusing on this year with your team to like something that you are trying to improve and really work on?
So I think our biggest thing at the minute is making sure that we're always using the visuals and loving the visuals, and they're available for everything, and just being aware of that. I'm also, after listening to the podcast about the sensory stories, I really want to develop them because I've really resonated with the whole, you can grab a box of leaves, you can grab the things, but actually, is it meaningful, and are you hitting all of those senses, and the processing time? Like, I'm not processing time, and I'll give my learners an instruction and I'll wait. But in a sensory story, it's like, oh, the leaves are falling down. Quick, look at the leaves, and it's you've got to get it round really quick.
Yeah, and even the processing time after a story is something that we're working on. Not just packing it up and then moving on. We're so bad for that, and attention autism is bad for that as well. Pack it up and move on and think, let's just sit and just see what happens.
Yeah.
What about the language? If they do take 4 minutes to process, like I think she was saying that one of her pupils did, what happens in 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Will they suddenly look up? Will they suddenly? Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something we're working on. Is maybe assessing individual processing times and working alongside that and using that to inform our practice. She was saying, I did a one-to-one with her as well, actually, more recently, and she said if you put something in their hand and then they count how long it takes for them to close their hand on it, and that's their processing time from visual to body. And so some of them might be instantly, so then you know. Some of them might be 10 seconds, like we say to wait. But she had a girl once that was 4 minutes.
Wow.
And then she closed and she said, okay, great. Now we know 4 minutes. You're going to have this resource for 4 minutes for you to process, get your body working in order to engage with this item. And it was really informative, isn't it, to know that about our pupils?
Yeah, I'm going to try that tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's our mission then. Great. I love a bit of homework.
Absolutely.
Homework for adults, no homework for children. I don't like homework for children, but homework for adults I like. So, okay, let's do that then. And everybody listening as well, get your pupils, put something exciting in their hands, or something nice and textured, something that wakes their palm up, because palms are really sensitive as well.
Yeah.
And just count, and let's come back and find out and use that to inform our practice.
Yeah, I love that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chloe. For everybody listening, where can everybody find your wonderful ideas?
So most of my content goes onto TikTok. That's kind of where I remember to post all of my content. I have got an Instagram page which I set up purely for one of my friends at work who was not on TikTok and refused to download it.
Love it.
An Instagram just for her, but I do forget to post things on there. So the TikTok is where you'll find the most of it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Definitely go and follow her over there. She's so inspiring, and follow her journey as she builds on her TikTok and maybe Instagram as well.
I'll try my best.
Thank you so much, Chloe, and I can't wait to hear about your children's processing times.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye-bye.